In this video, we're going to draw a house in 3 different positions using 2-point perspective. I'll start as I typically do by drawing my horizon line across the middle of the page. Then I'll place my 2 vanishing points toward the outer sides or corners of the page. I'll draw my first house design right on the horizon line. To begin, I'm starting with a single vertical line that will be the start of the cube. Grab your ruler and now connect the top and bottom of this vertical line to both of the vanishing points. Now decide which face of the house you want to be wider and which side will be narrower. Line up your ruler with the initial vertical line and draw 2 parallel lines on either side of it. For the wider side, I'll use my ruler again to find the midpoint of this section. I'll connect each of the 4 corners to easily locate the center of the square. Then I'll draw a vertical line crossing directly through the middle of this section, right where the 2 slanted lines intersect. Do the exact same process on the other side of the cube with one slight difference. Extend the vertical line beyond the top edge of the square. This extension helps determine the location of the roof, which will be a triangular shape. Now, keeping your ruler at the proper angle, draw your triangular shape for the roof when you're satisfied with its placement. Repeat this for the other side of the roof. Extend the ends of these slanted lines a bit beyond the border, just as I'm doing. This will allow us to add dimension and a border to the roof later, preventing it from looking flat and giving it an edge. Draw a bolder, darker line starting from the exact spot. Align this new line with the vanishing point on the left to define the side of the roof. Next, align your ruler with the slanted line on the front side of the roof. Using the same angle and proportion, draw the corresponding back side of the roof. Now to draw the top of the roof and connect the front and back sides, align your ruler from the top point on the front face of the roof to the top point on the back part of the roof. Make sure your ruler is aligned towards your right vanishing point, maintaining the same direction, and then draw your final line for the roof. At this point, you can clean up any unnecessary lines if you want. Now I'll add a door to the side of the house. First, I lightly mark where I want the door to be. Then I'll take my ruler, align it with the vanishing point on the right, and draw a line that will form the top of the door. I'm placing this line in the middle of the side using the center line as a guide. Next, draw 2 vertical lines on either side of the horizontal line to complete the door. Now darken the main lines to distinguish them from the guide lines and finalize your drawing. After this, you can erase any extra lines as needed. Next, let's draw our second house below the horizon line. I'll follow the exact same steps as before. I'll begin by creating a cube below the horizon line. Again, I'll start with a vertical line, placing it directly below the first vertical line I drew for the first house. Then I'll connect the top and bottom of this vertical line to both the left and right vanishing points. Now draw 2 parallel lines on either side to create the sides of the house. Notice that I'm placing these 2 parallel lines directly below the corresponding parallel lines from the first house. Because I'm drawing the same house in different positions relative to the horizon line, I'm trying my best to maintain the same proportions and sizes. As we did before, the next step is to find the midpoint of each of these sides. After finding the midpoints, we can draw the roof following the same steps as before. First, draw the front section of the roof, the one closest to you. This time, I'll draw a line from the top of this front section to the vanishing point. I'll align my ruler with my vanishing point on the left and then draw the top part of the roof. Now I'll draw the back part of the roof, so I just need to draw a slanted line for the back of the roof to complete the roof of this house. As I've mentioned in previous tutorials, when an object is placed below the horizon line, we see more of its top surface, so we'll naturally see more of the roof from this perspective. Next, I'll draw the door on this side of the house as we did before. I can position my door right below this horizontal line by aligning my ruler with the vanishing point on the right to find the correct angle. I'll draw a horizontal line approximately in the middle of the side using the center vertical line as a guide. Then I just need to draw 2 vertical lines to finish the door. Now I'll darken the main lines to make them stand out more. Remember to extend the roof slightly by extending these 2 lines, creating an edge for your roof. Then draw a new line for this edge, aligning your ruler with the vanishing point to find the correct angle. Erase the previous lines forming the edge. And remember to do this for the other side of the roof that is visible to us from this perspective. Now it's time to draw the final house, which will be placed above the horizon line. Because we have limited space remaining, I'll be very careful about where I place my lines. First, I align my ruler with these 2 vertical lines below to draw the vertical line for this final house. Then I'll draw the other parallel lines accordingly. Before drawing the last parallel line, I'll check how much space I have available to avoid the 2 houses intersecting. I'll connect the bottom of this parallel line on the right to the vanishing point on the left. This is the first thing I'll do. Then I'll connect the bottom of this middle vertical line to the right vanishing point. Now I'll draw my final parallel line on the left side to connect these 2 sides. Connect the bottom of this middle vertical line to the left vanishing point. To finish defining this bottom surface, connect the bottom of this parallel line on the left to the right vanishing point. Now I have a surface below showing me the bottom portion of the house. As I mentioned before, if you're looking up at a shape above the horizon line, you see its bottom surface. At this point, I'm going to erase any extra lines at the bottom of the page. Now draw 2 lines from the top of this middle vertical line to each of the vanishing points to complete the cube. As we've done previously, the next step is to find the midpoint of each of these sides. Then draw a vertical line from each midpoint, which will help us determine the location of the roof. Now draw 2 slanted lines to create a triangle at the top of the house forming the roof. At this point, there's not much left to do. It's not even necessary to draw the back plane of the roof since those sections are barely visible from this angle. Simply extend this line at the back edge of the roof. That's all that's needed. Finally, to give the house a more polished look, darken the main lines to distinguish them from the guidelines and make them stand out, giving our drawing a finished look. I almost forgot to add the door on this one, so I'll add it now. And that's it. We've complete drawing the house in three positions, on the horizon line, below the horizon line, and above the horizon line. This was a great practice. I hope you followed along and enjoyed it. I might redraw the house I drew above the horizon line in a future video because I think the proportions were a bit off, so stay tuned for that. Until next time, and have fun drawing!